All right, let me just hear you talk.
Adam, how are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
You had a premiere last night?
We did.
Where was that? In Brooklyn? Where?
Brooklyn. Yeah, Brooklyn BAM Harvey Theater.
Oh, that's a nice place.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The arches, the historic feeling of the place was like, whoa.
Yeah, I like this. It's kind of stadium seating, if I remember, right?
Yeah, yes,
right?
Your stadium seating, and it just feels like you're in this amphitheater, and
right.
Yeah, just a beautiful.
Yeah, a nice turnout.
Yeah, it was actually, for a rainy day in New York, I was like, oh man, this is tough. But yeah,
where did they get the how did they get the word out? Is it all like kind of just connections? It's all by invitation?
It was a pre-screener.
Is that what it is?
So we had it was basically for our cast and crew, and then I think they sold a certain amount of tickets to the general population.
Maybe they do that. They like release some tickets to kind of create some. Yeah, no problem. Me too, actually.
Yeah, I think they, obviously they want. We didn't have a New York City festival.
Right.
Because we had been invited to a couple of prestigious festivals, but because of when they are on the timeline, we were releasing in the fall. It didn't make sense for the release strategy. So unfortunately, we weren't able to.
Off mic, was it like Cinema Fest?
It was.
Did you get invited to that?
Tribeca and New Directors, New Films.
Oh,
we were supposed to be the closing night.
Perfect.
First the opening night, then the closing night.
Really, that would have been so nice.
I mean,
nothing wrong with
like
being in
Tribeca.
MoMA,
And it's like
and Lincoln Center. Hello.
It was amazing, but it wasn't my decision.
Right. Well, the good thing about New Directors is that they do take often like second features too.
Yeah.
This was your first feature, right?
It was our first feature, and so and then of course New York Film Festival. I think there was a talk, maybe, but New York Film Festival really takes like super high end, prestigious kind of those kind of films.
World cinema, best of world cinema, right?
And not to say that listen, we didn't get in, so.
But New Directors, I love that festival.
Yeah.
And I've discovered so many great filmmakers through that, just going to that after year. Yeah. I love going to that. It's interesting. I go to the New York Film Festival kind of as an industry person. That's how I feel when I'm going to them. Like I'm doing my due diligence, seeing these films, and it's so much fun. But when I go to New Directors, I'm really going as a fan.
Yeah.
As like a movie lover, because I discover so much in that one, and it's always so good, So I think that would be a great place, like if your next feature should work out, because they go usually through the first or second feature. By the third one, very rare, but I've seen it. Speaking of the New York Film Festival, I just saw yesterday at the P&I screening the new Barry Jenkins.
Oh yeah, I saw an early cut of the film, of Barry's film.
Oh yeah, how'd you do that?
Yeah, he's a talented individual, and just a kind person.
He's kind of a poet of a filmmaker.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He's doing something that's.
I love how he's going to say, you know what, you're going to sit here and you're going to watch this and you're going to like it, and with
you're friends with him or something,
and control and there's so much attention to detail in the color palette, the score, where I'm like, I'm failing in certain areas, but I'm, my filmmaking is it's like, okay, I'm going to focus on this, make this so good, and then have other folks help me out in these areas where it just feels like, so specific, that, I've been learning a lot from watching him and, kind of be a master of the craft.
Right. Well, an aesthetic is a very much a, subjective thing, and your aesthetic and his aesthetic are coming from different places in a way, at least so far. I mean, he's on, what is this, his third feature now, or fourth?
Third feature, yeah.
You think about how the trajectory of three films where he's gotten to, on the world platform within three features, or an Oscar within two. It's pretty, it's one thing. But you're doing something that, your film, Monsters and Men, is coming almost from a more of a documentary style approach, and it's it's like fast and edgy and raw, as you describe it, I think, and so that's the right for that story, and that storytelling it gives it an immediacy that's very effective, so
thank you.
Yeah. But I was glad to have seen it, and they're showing it at the Apollo. They're having a screening of
Barry's at the Apollo,
Beale Street Could Talk at the Apollo Theater. So that, I would love to have gone to that, but I didn't know if I would be able to. It'd be, first of all, to get into it, which is, and then secondly, if I could make it work with my schedule. So I just said, see this while you can.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I got to see finally Monsters and Men too, which is terrific. And congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in a long time. We did an episode way back.
Yeah, Kinoscope
episode, right, with Pavel. And I think it's like one of my most downloaded episodes.
Wow, the Kinoscope.
The one we did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't know. I would look back and it's like got this tremendous number of, like, compared to most episodes. I was like, what is it about? It's Mark. It must be Reinaldo, rather.
I don't know. I'll take it. I'll go download this one.
Another thing I didn't realize is your brother made Gun Hill Road.
Yes, Rashad. He's the reason I ever decided to become a filmmaker.
Yeah. Why? What is it other than the fact that it was your brother that made this film? Why do you say that it was?
Well, I was working at Wall Street at the time, and I had a brother that went to he had gone to NYU for acting school for drama, and then went back for film. And when he went to film, of course, you're part of his coursework was to make these short films, and so. What do you do when you have no money? You employ your family, So he would, hey Ray, can you come wrangle cables? I'm, working a regular job, and on the weekends, I'm helping him make his first MOS, and then he's, put me in a couple of short films as an actor. And one of the first shorts that he did with me as an actor went to Sundance. So I was the lead actor in this short film called Choices that went to Sundance in 2009.
Amazing.
Now, I didn't really know what Sundance was. And I get there, I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. This is
your introduction. That's
this is my introduction. So I had a brother that was doing it, and then of course 2 years later he came back to Sundance with his first feature, Gun Hill Road, Esai Morales, Judy Reyes, Harmony Santana, and I was like, man, this is amazing. Now at the time, I had a really good job. I had paid off my undergraduate student loan.
Yeah, it's an amazing story.
I went through a breakup, and then I was like, well, what am I doing with my life? Maybe my brother and I can make films like that. We could be the Green Brothers. That's pretty special. So I thought I would produce. My brother was already writing, directing, was not thinking about directing at all. Just like, I can leverage my Wall Street relationships and help my brother, either finance his movies or write and help him make some other movies. But NYU is a writing directing program, so any way you slice it, like I had to make films as a writer director, even though I was producing on the side. And one of the first films I did, my second year film, which was the big film at NYU, went to Cannes in competition, and that really changed the course of even in how I thought about it. The university was like, you're a director, right? And I was like, yeah, and then it was like, talking to my brother, I was like, yeah. He's like, bro, you want to direct it? I was like, I think it's happening. It was like this sort of gravitational pull. It was, of course, and and still, want to support each other and do that thing, but it just, all of a sudden it started. It was a path. And then I made Stop, that short film in 2014. 14.
Yeah, and which I think is how we met originally. Like I think we met. I remember meeting you, which I don't know why. It was must have just been one of those things. But it was at a Rooftop Films event or party, and it was on a rooftop. And you must have been. Was it that Stop at Rooftop that season?
Yes,
is that what makes sense?
It was, and then we
got a grant.
For the feature version, which basically Monsters and Men is the feature version of Stop, and we got the grant towards Monsters and Men, which was great.
Right. Well, Stop is about stop and frisk. I could see how you could say this is sort of an expansion of that idea, and you were making it in the amidst Black Lives Matters.
Yeah, the short was sort of a response to the Trayvon Martin decision to acquit George Zimmerman, and that. That was the short was sort of born out of that. And then, the world changed after that moment, and then you have Eric Garner, Philando Castile, Walter Scott, Tamir Rice. You have so many other cases, Sandra Bland.
It would be every other week. It seemed like there was another one.
So it seemed. And down the line, there's been, so many others. You know, and then also, and then you had the response to that, to the police officers in Baton Rouge, and all this stuff that was happening here in New York, and I was like, what do you do with that? You know, since the time making my short, you have all this stuff that's happening.
Right.
You know, so you know, it somehow informed how the feature was going to take shape and how I discussed sort of all the things that were happening.
I meant to watch Stop Again. I remember seeing it years ago, and I already do remember. I have like moments in it that I can even bring up right now in my head. But was it more just? It was kind of more clear cut in this. I shouldn't use that word, but it was more. You have to condense things. It's a short. So in that one, about a young man who's stopped at a park, right? Like
he's walking home, gets stopped and
gets
stopped by the NYPD.
And there's no immediate reason why. There's no threat. There's no. So that one, it's pretty kind of clear where you're standing. You're on the side of this young guy. Now in Monsters and Men, you take multiple sort of perspectives, right? I mean, it follows three different characters. It's a triptych, right? So. But the perspective kind of emerges as almost one unified thing, which is, you know, there's no heroes or villains in this, or clear-cut heroes and villains. Yeah. Would you say that's true?
I would say it's
there's no mustache-twirling villain in this.
It's gray, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we perceive on both sides about what's right or wrong, and the line is not so black and white.
So to speak.
You know, so certain times, you know, what the feature version, you know, was born out of that short film. In the short, I cast a New York City police officer. He's a friend of mine. We grew up together.
In Staten Island.
Yeah. And then we went to Sundance with that short. He stayed with me in the cottage. So
back at Sundance.
I was rooming with a police officer who's in my short film.
Yeah.
And then we just started talking about the Eric Garner case in Staten Island. We're both from Staten Island. And so what I thought was a clear-cut video, I see a video, I look at that video of Eric Garner, and I see a guy that should be alive. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. But he just saw it differently. He was like, Ray, it's unfortunate that he's dead, but he was resisting arrest.
Right.
And so, and then of course I was like, well, just because he's resisting, we went and, you know, by the end of the conversation, I mean, it was pretty heated. Like, we were like at each other's throats.
Wow.
But in a positive way, we were just really like, you know, just heated in like trying in passion. It was like, Ryan, tell me what I'm supposed to be seeing here. Yeah. And then of course, you know, it was everything that wasn't on the tape. It was like what I face every day wearing the uniform and all this stuff. And what I realized was like this sort of baggage, this thing that was coming with something that, you know, with the uniform, you know, with it's not just baggage, maybe a bad word, but it's a culture. It was more than just 3 minutes of a tape. Yeah, you know, of how we got to that situation. Not to say it's right or wrong or how, but like his point of view was, you know, you got to look at more than 3 minutes. Yeah, it's sort of like, what's out of the frame? What's out of the frame? Yeah, interesting way. And that's how we kind of filmed the movie. Right. What was sort of out of the frame. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Very interesting. Because you know, you're a cop. Which is one of the characters that we're mentioning perspective-wise, is an African-American. Yeah, John David Washington plays Dennis. Who people will also know from BlacKkKlansman. He's the lead in that, which, by the way, completely, I did not put those two together till I was reading, you know, doing my research, but it's like, that's the same guy. And it just didn't occur to me at first. Like, of course, his look is so dramatically different. But that's called acting, right? Yeah. Anyway, he's in a tough spot. You know, he's in a I don't want to say it's a no-win, but he is definitely in this spot where he has to defend his uniform and his colleagues and his rationale. He has to create a rationale for just being a cop now, you know. You know, a couple generations back didn't deal with that, you know. Anyway, and then he's got a partner who's a lot more conservative in her views. It's a white female, which is interesting casting, right? And, you know, so wherever he happens to be, he, you know, it's a very different, he has to have these different kind of conversations. If he's home with friends, you know, all of a sudden he's put in this very different position of having to defend the cops. And then if he's with his partner, he's kind of defending the victim.
the Eric Garner character that kind of is the catalyst for your story. At the beginning, there's a guy standing outside of a bodega selling Lucy's, right? And there's cops show up, and there's an incident when then he's killed. The guy standing outside the store, and one of your other characters, he's videotaping the whole thing.
Manny, played by Anthony Ramos
from Hamilton.
Yeah, from Hamilton,
and then
he's in The Star Is Born and upcoming Godzilla. She's Gotta Have It, Spike Lee series. So he's gone on the tear in the last year.
I'm sure he'll get some work eventually.
Yeah,
all your guys are like these rising stars. Anyhow, I just wanted to also squeeze in a little bit of the synopsis there. Your third character, since we're talking about it, is a young high school kid.
Yes,
right?
Played by Kelvin Harrison Jr.
Why'd you go with that?
Well, I was an athlete growing up, and a lot of this sort of mentality, even on the police force, comes a lot from sort of sports.
Does it?
There's a lot of the similarities, in sort of sports culture. If you play for a team, you do anything to make that team win. Even if you have that kid on your team, you don't really appreciate his values, and you think like, man, he's
the allegiance, the uniform.
The allegiance to the uniform is more important than the allegiance to one player.
Yes, right.
And so I'm sure it's the same in the Army. You're fighting for your country, but like there's people you can't stand who are in your barracks, and so you have this weird thing where you like we're on the same team. We're all going to bleed red, but like we go in our different places and we don't really understand each other or value each other, but we're all playing for the same team. And I always felt that growing up playing competitive sports was you just have to do what you have to do to win. But I grew up in Staten Island, predominantly, especially baseball. It was predominantly all white teams, and we'd play against Latino teams or all black teams, and my teammates would like say racist and vile things like against those kids that we were playing, and I'm like, wait, those kids are my brothers. That's my, like on the other side of that fence. But it's like, well, what team am I playing for? It's not like I can take off my jersey and walk away, because then I'm walking away from the game. And I think Dennis, our police officer is a lot in that same situation. It's like I'm a police officer. I became a police officer to protect my community. I may not agree with what's happening, but what do I do? Do I just pack? I'm fighting for blue. Blue's the team I'm on. So what am I going to do? Ultimately, I'm thinking about my family. I'm thinking about going home at night. I'm thinking about the paycheck that I need to keep the roof over the head. And there is a culture that I might be aware of, but I'm a police officer. It's a difficult line to toe sometimes when there's some deep-rooted cultural things that need to be addressed, but you actually believe in what you're doing, and you care about the cause. You're a good person. You became a cop to do the right thing. I don't think anybody becomes a cop to do the wrong thing, but when you realize that, there's some deep-rooted systemic kind of things, you're kind of caught. Yeah. And, the uniform represents something sometimes that, maybe is not a 360 sort of holistic view of how your own personal moral values. And so I think it's tricky. And a lot of people feel caught in the middle, especially people of color.
This complicated relationship, dynamic you're describing is really best summed up. There's a nice moment early in the film where you got these beat cops who end up doing a pickup game, basketball, with some local kids on the, just like that's where there's a real sense of community and where things seem to kind of work for a few minutes there before things kind of fall apart. I also wanted to remark that it's interesting, as you brought up this third character, this young guy, you, in a sense, I don't know if you did this intentionally, but as you just described it, you inserted yourself into the film by making this character. It seems like he's the closest to you, maybe. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Maybe they're all close to you. Maybe on some level they're all you. Yeah. I mean, they say everybody in your dream is really an extension of you, So maybe likewise. That's the case. I don't know. But We should mention that the name of the film again is called Monsters and Men.
Monsters and Men.
And it's being distributed by
NEON and MoviePass Films. So if you're,
MoviePass Films, interesting. Okay, I
missed
that.
It's a recent partnership. It happened within the last week or so.
Wow!
And they came on board, and so if you have MoviePass, you can go see Monsters and Men without it counting towards your monthly allotment. They'll allow you to, if you have 3, you can go see Monsters and Men outside of that 3, and it won't count towards that. So it's cool. There, listen, it's terrific. Listen, MoviePass to go see 3 movies for less than $10 a month. I mean, I don't, I think it's a win for anybody that has it. It's a great opportunity to see movies that you wouldn't typically see because it's so darn expensive. Or if you're a parent and you can't get out, it's like, how do you can't afford the $26, tickets plus the popcorn and the soda.
Right. I wish people would take that mind frame that, for people that know, that essentially see mainstream films, and there's no judgment around that word, but most people only know movies because of the advertising, because that's, there's a massive marketing budget, and so they're familiar with these movies because they're on, the trailers are available and the ads are out there and the buses and shelters and whatnot, right. And so they go see those movies. I wish people would take this make a commitment to take the MoviePass and use those for the wild cards. Yeah. Go check out a film like Monsters and Men, or like maybe Beale Street Could Talk in a few months or days when that comes out. I'm not sure exactly. I'm sure it's coming out very quickly, actually. Movies like this that tell character-driven stories, and that are really, grappling with issues and the zeitgeist, but really have real people, like characters that feel like people we know and that are going to make us feel something deeper that will last longer. I mean, this sounds very simplistic, but it happens to be true. So I'm making a case. Take your MoviePass, go see Monsters and Men at the movie theater this weekend. You're going to at NEON, by the way, which you mentioned, which is the distributor, was founded by the same person who founded Alamo Drafthouse. The movie theater chain.
Tim League
who's been on the show.
And Tom Quinn.
And Tom Quinn.
Is
the Sony Pictures originally. They started NEON, and it's also run, I think, in part by Jeff Deutschman, who's
Jeff Deutschman
been on the show as well. So I've had on everybody here.
Yeah, we got a great team over there. We're really lucky to have NEON, their support. They're young and hungry, right. and the marketing materials they put together look fantastic. Yeah. We've got great spots for a small film to come up on NPR or to be, played during the National Football League, and have banners in New York City. It's great to see how deep their tentacles run.
The film opens Friday, September 28th. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. This Friday. So
so where people see it?
It's playing at Alamo Drafthouse. It's going to be at Angelika here in Brooklyn. Alamo Drafthouse in Brooklyn. Angelika
at the Angelika Film Center, which is now, I guess, a Drafthouse. No, I'm kidding around.
It's playing at an AMC here. It's playing at Landmark in LA. And we're
how many other cities around, or is it?
Yeah, I believe the opening weekend: New York, LA, Houston, Dallas, Philly, a couple of cities. San Francisco, so people can go out and see the film and support it. And
you got a phone call the other day from somebody who was praising your film. He wanted to tell you how much he enjoyed it, right?
It was crazy. So I'm
saw this on Facebook.
I go in for a meeting on another project that I'm attached to direct. It's about Jack Johnson, a heavyweight black boxer in the 1920s and
100 years ago.
Yeah, and Scott Free's producing, and incoming call, Ridley Scott. On an intercom like this, and says, Ray with his British accent, and hey, I'm calling from South Africa. I saw your film, fantastic, really impressive. Love John David Washington. The actors are great. I'm sorry I couldn't be there with you. I'll look forward to having dinner. When I come back to LA. Or if I see you in the UK, and just so sorry I couldn't be with you. Just wanted to tell you how much I appreciated your film. Take care.
Wow,
not bad, right?
No.
I said, "Oh my
Was that
goodness."
a message, or did you chat with him?
No, it wasn't a message. It was like,
Oh,
I didn't get too many words in because he was calling,
Yeah. Oh, okay.
like the intercom was kind of breaking up, and
Right.
I was like, hey, it was just, what do you say? I was more listening than,
Yeah.
I was like, it was more of a comment, than a need for a response. It was like, thanks so much for watching the film.
Not bad.
Do you want to tweet about it? I don't know how to tell him to support, but he already supported about watching it and give me the confidence that.
That's an amazing story. He calls me all the time because he can't figure out his DVR, and he's looking. Well, this has been terrific. Let's not wait so long for the next time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is a great Monsters and Men, directed by Reinaldo Marcus Green. Go see it this weekend, or this week if you can't make it this weekend. But
absolutely,
yeah.
September 28th. Come out, New York, LA, stand up.
You'll be in New York.
I'm going to be at the Q&As.
Q&As.
Some of the cast will be there. Yeah, so we're going to try to do it big in New York and LA. I leave for LA tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Be there at the Landmark for the Q&As, and then come right back here for the Angelika Q&As, and yeah. Just grind. Just want people to see the film, have an emotional reaction to it, and hopefully a positive one, and spread the love. Tell someone else to go see it. Bring someone.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
There was some cop showed up at the.
Yeah. So we had a few police officers last night in attendance, and they got some hugs. Got some hugs. Thank you for making the film. Powerful film.
It shows with the cops in a more sensitive light, like what they have to, grapple with.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's yeah.